Hello again, thanks for joining. Here's what we've got coming up in this episode. It's another G-Scale model, and this time it's from PIKO. It's a Deutsche Bahn coach, and we're going to look at it today. So once again, this is another second-hand purchase. Before getting this, I didn't even know that PIKO did G-Scale, so this is quite a nice thing to find. It looks pretty good from the outside here. The box is in not too bad condition as well. It has some stickers on it saying that it was £95. I'm guessing that's how much it was when it was purchased new. But being second-hand, this box has had a few bashes, including a little tear there in the cellophane at the front and a couple of bashes here and there. On the back of the box, it's advertising a couple of other items that PIKO do in G-Scale. This really caught my eye here. It's a Taurus electric locomotive in the Hoopak livery, and that's quite tempting to me, so I might actually shell out and buy that at some point because it looks quite attractive. I like those Taurus locomotives. So at this end of the box, you can see the part number 37602. Now, so I don't speak German, so I'm not even going to try and attempt to pronounce what this is here, but I think what it's saying is that it's second class with maybe a baggage compartment at one end of it, and you can also see that it's 6 wheels as well. So let's get this out of the box and have a look. So as well as the coach in the box, we also have these two parts as extras. So these look like single buffers. I'll put these to one side for now. So packaging isn't always that interesting, to be honest, but I think this is actually quite good packaging that PIKO have done here. It's certainly one of the best ones I've seen for G-Scale models. So here we have the coach out of the packaging, and straight away you can see how attractive this green colour is. I do actually like this Deutsche Bahn green from the past with the dark grey roof. It looks really quite stylish. I'll show you my normal beer wagon in HO scale so you can see the size difference. So you can see that this coach is quite significantly bigger. It is designed for garden railways, and you're going to need something quite big to be able to run this on it. So let's have a look at it in more detail. So this is quite a difficult model to handle just because of its size, so I'll do my best to keep this steady as I go down the side of the coach here. First, let's have a look at this door here. It's got some really nice hinge detail and also the handle, which is picked out in silver. It doesn't open though, but it certainly looks as though it could do. I can see here that we're missing some steps that have broken off. There's nothing in the box, so that's a bit of a shame that those are missing. And we have this silver handrail here. This isn't made of metal, it's just plastic, but it does have quite a lot of bend in it, so it can take a few knocks and still survive. The glazing is very good on these models and very clear, and it has this silver surround and it's flush fit, so that's really quite nice. But looking down the side of the model here, you can see that it has this printed 2. I think this is a destination name. It's got the usual specifications of the coach and the running number. It's got the Deutsche Bahn logo here. And other than that, the printing is down on the chassis. You can see some numbers printed along here and the word Stuttgart as well there with 99277, the running number of this coach. Here we can see some very nicely moulded doors with brackets on them, and again flush fit glazing with this time a black surround. And now further down we have another window with some bars printed on it. I guess this is the baggage area, and then finally another window here. So it's quite a plain body on the side of this. There's not any detail, not any rivet details or anything like that, but what there is moulded in here, like the door, is being done very well. The printing of these decals both here on the chassis and on the body are very clear, and you have no problems reading them whatsoever. And finally here there's another door, the same as at the other end. So I did say this was second hand, and you can see some of the cobwebs here. This is to be expected with models that are out in the garden. And at the end you've got the roller shutter, a good representation of these parts around the gangway, the 2 buffers here, and you can also see these small windows which are also glazed as well, and then these red up here which I think are probably light. I don't know whether this model's got lighting, we'll have a look at that in a minute. So down this side of the coach is all identical to the first side apart from here where we have this window covered over, so this must be representing a toilet inside. And finally here again the steps have been broken off at this end. So it's a bit of a shame that those are missing. You can see at this end it still has the steps in place. They look quite good actually, but I don't know how easy these are going to be to maybe 3D print and add some new ones for the ones that have been broken. What you can see underneath is the quite extensive movement here we have in order to move the centre wheel and get this around tight corners. It's quite an interesting design that they've produced here to make this happen, and it does work really well without compromising the look of this model. There is this large piece between this front bogie and the coupling. I guess it needs that in order to be able to have this all the way out here and couple up with the next wagon. It has the usual uncoupler underneath here if you want to automatically uncouple as well. One of the things I really like is the spring detail here, and the axle box is very nice as well. The wheels on this are plastic rather than metal, but they do revolve very well. The centre wheel is on this movable part. Now it has a lot of play, both up and down and of course side to side. But there is a lot of detail here. Again, the spring detail is very nicely done and all these little brackets have been very nicely moulded. It's quite deep relief here as well. So this is really quite nice. And finally at this end you have the same as at the front, another bogie which moves up and down and it moves the middle bogie as well. I do think perhaps these pieces of plastic, if they're not strong after time, might actually snap and then you might have a bit of problem. This should actually be able to move on its own. It maybe doesn't need these little guides. But anyway, this model isn't brand new, but it's still working okay. You can see here that it's made by PIKO in 2009, or at least that's when it was designed, and it's made in Germany. You can see a number of screws holding this model together, for example here underneath the centre axle, and at each end there are these clips as well, so I guess it clips together and then screws securely. Up on the roof there isn't much detail. There's this part here, not quite sure what that's for. Maybe if you know, you could put it in the comments and let me know. And the grey has got these nice ridges across it, and it has some marks on this because it obviously has been used in the garden. So hopefully you can see inside this coach and you can see that it has some brown seating there. It's very nicely represented. And the rear looks as though it's just empty because it's a baggage area. So overall, this coach from PIKO is quite an attractive little coach to add to your railway. It's got some really nice features to it and it has a really nice colour combination. Some of the things I like on this are the flush fitting windows, which fit really well. They're very clear as well, you can see inside no problem at all. And the moulding detail around the doors and the handles that have been added on, and especially the brackets, are really quite nice and add an extra little bit of flair to this model. The mechanism underneath with its movable centre wheel gets around some of the problems that a coach like this might have getting round tight corners, and it works pretty well, I think. This particular model, it's a real shame it's missing the steps on one end where they've broken off. I don't know how to solve that. Maybe I'll try and contact PIKO in the first instance and see if they can still supply parts for this model. One of the things that's perhaps lacking on this is any detail on the side panel of the coach. This is probably prototypical, it probably doesn't have any rivet detail or anything like that, but it does make this a bit of a plain model, especially because it also doesn't have anything on the roof. This model also doesn't have pickup as well, so the lights that I pointed out on the end of the coach don't work. It does have the potential to add something into it if you want to, perhaps a battery operated light and setup, or you can maybe swap the wheels for metal ones and then run your own pickup from the wheels to these lights. So there is potential to make this more your own and add some extra features to this coach that don't come from the factory. So overall, if you have a garden railway, this would make an attractive little coach to add to your collection, especially if you're modelling Deutsche Bahn of this era. So I would recommend this coach. It's not the most detailed in the world, but it does have a lot of potential to add things to it, and as such, it's a great model of this coach. So I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and you can subscribe for more videos like this. But that's it for today. See ya!